I'm cutting vegetables, even though it's like a dangerous thing, because I know how to do it, it feels very safe. And so it's like something that you can do mindlessly and like not have to worry too much about like, am I about to slice my finger open? Nah, I trust my, my repetition. I think it was just always like a treat for us to get pot pie. And for kids who loved Burger King and Taco Bell, the fact that we liked home cooking more than the fast food stuff meant a lot. With pie crust, you have to keep it really cold. The ice helps keep the butter in its solid form so that when you cook it, instead it's making like a steam and like a really flaky crust instead of like a gummy, not flaky crust. Carrots, celery, and onion. That's called a mirepoix. I will admit, like, having to ask people for help is hard while I'm cooking because it's one of those things where it's just like, feels instinctual, like I know what I'm doing, and so when I have to like think about what I'm doing and communicate it to people, it does get kind of hard because you're like kind of like coaching or teaching. I will say that like smelling this, putting my hands in it, like using my cute utensils feels really good, and also knowing that like hopefully if it turns out I get to share it with my friends, which is the best part. I have like when I came over to Friendsgiving and I was like trying to make that pumpkin pie and it wasn't finished yet, and so I was like, let's put it in the fridge. Or when I made butterbeer, well, the fat started coagulating on top of the crock pot or whatever, and everyone's like, what's this? And I was like, gross. That's what it is.
I'm like,
It tasted good, but
fat drink. Right,
And
like if someone
honestly,
told me, like, hey, like 6 people are gonna come over tonight, can you make a meal? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no, you could say no.
Whoa, you didn't hear me.
No, like tonight. And she's like, yeah, that's fine.
I was like, what do I want to make? But then when I thought of pot pie, I was like, oh yeah, duh. Like,
What a crowd pleaser.
that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
Marie Callender's frozen pot pies as a kid, Mom's pot pie on a rainy day. It's just like, it does what it needs to do.
It'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
So also, same Friendsgiving, I went to 4 different grocery stores to find leaf-shaped cookie cutters.
Yeah.
They didn't have any, but you know what they did have? Christmas ones. And I was like,
Killing. One thing about Mimi, though, you are persistent. When you have a vision or just something you want, you're like, yep, this is a 3-store kind of trip. And you're just like, I'm worth it. What a gesture of love to yourself, though, don't you think? You're like,
That's
yeah,
powerful
I
self-compassion.
want the leaf cutting thing, cutter, dough cutter. I want the leaf. And you're like, I'm going to go to multiple stores to make it happen.
it wasn't self-love though. That was like, this pie has
Performance-based.
to be perfect, and it won't be perfect unless it has leaves on it. If not, people will think that it's bad.
Trash.
Yeah. You're a trash pie without leaves.
No leaves on a Thanksgiving pie?
Yeah, embarrassing.
Let's collaboratively decide if this is ready.
How do we know? Listen.
Like the crust sounds
Oh.
cooked. I see brown on the edges. Sometimes I'll let it like get a little bit more brown, but since it doesn't
Brown.
have like non-vegan ingredients, it doesn't brown up the same.
Gotcha.
Be my question.
Okay.
Oh, the good questions to know
Yeah.
to ask. For the longest time, I got together with therapist friends for recipe night because all my friends were cooks, and I would come and bring maybe a drink, and I would always chop. And like that act of making something and then eating together always felt so special. Oh my God.
It's so good.
It's so good.